Hi friends, welcome to Ayishu's English Grove. If you're watching my video for the first time, please subscribe Ayishu's English Grove and click on the bell icon. Hi children, I'm here to enrich you all with another video from Flamingo. In this video, we are going to pursue a poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, written by Stephen Spender. About the poet. Stephen Spender was an English poet and an essayist. He took a keen interest in the social and political problems of his times. As a social reformer and pacifist of his time, he questions the value of education and the morals and ethics of individuals. The trials and tribulations of the post-World War Europe finds expression in Spender's verse and prose. Books by Spender include Poems of Dedication, The Edge of Being, The Creative Element, etc. Let's pursue the theme. An elementary school classroom in a slum deals with the social injustice and class inequalities and attacks on this capitalistic economies in which the rich are becoming richer, and even as more and more problems and miseries mess the lives of the poor. They are devoid of any opportunity and have become prey to social injustice. Introduction. In this poem, Spender depicts the injustice which prevails in society. He talks of social injustice and class inequalities, denial of opportunities to slum dwellers, and also expresses his thoughts on the widening gap between the rich and the poor. He somewhere or the other seems to be hitting hard at the capitalist economy, which helps the rich to get richer and the poor poorer. The civil rights movement in America had gained pace, and Spender's poem supports it when he exposes the condition of the haves and the have-nots. The poem lucidly brings forth the miserable condition of the children of the slum and the inadequate educational facilities provided to them. The poem talks of racial discrimination and is a socialist proclamation that a country can prosper only if education reaches to the downtrodden in the society. Let's pursue the poem now. An elementary school classroom in a slum. First stanza. Far, far from gusty waves these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. The tall girl with her weighed down head. The paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. Explanation. The poet describes the children who study in an elementary school which is set up in a slum area. The poet says that the faces of the children are dull and without any energy. They are not full of energy like other kids of their age. These children are compared to unwanted weeds. Here, the writer wants to say that these children seem to be unwanted like the unwanted weeds which grow on their own in the fields. Their hair is not neatly done. It falls on their pale faces as if they have been torn apart. The children are untidy and they haven't combed their hair. Then he describes a tall girl who seems to be burdened by poverty. Her head is bent, maybe because of tiredness or shame. There is another boy who is so weak and thin that he has been compared to a sheet of paper. The boy's eyes reflect greed and he wants to achieve everything. Then he describes another student who is physically disabled. The poet says that this boy is unlucky because he inherited a disease from his father, due to which he has a deformed body. Instead of getting any facility from his father, he has received a disease in heritage. This disabled boy is sitting on his bench and is reciting his lesson. At the back of the class, in a dim, dark area, was a small boy who was not visible to the poet as he was sitting in darkness. The poet could see his eyes, which were bright and full of a dream. He was not paying attention to the class. It seemed as if he was rather interested in playing with squirrels in the tree house. Let's pursue the second stanza. On sour cream walls, donations. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities. Belt, flowery, Slum-Cbse-Xii's valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of woods. Explanation. The poet described the walls of the school. They are cream in color, like the color of sour cream. This means that the walls are not clean and they have not been painted recently. The walls are covered with different charts and images that must have been donated by different people. There is a picture of Shakespeare on the wall. His head, which is bald, looks like the rising sun at the horizon. At the time of daybreak, the sun is rising at the horizon and is semicircular like a dome shape. It seems to be behind all the cities. There is a picture of the famous Slum-Cbse-Xii's valley, which has beautiful flowers. There is the image of a map which helps all in its own way. But for these children, the map of the world is irrelevant because the slum where they live is different from what is shown in the map. Their world is only what they see out of the window of the classroom, the slum. Their future is full of darkness. Their future is compared to a narrow street, which means that there is no wide scope available for their future growth. These children are far away from the radiant light of knowledge and education. These children have no access to the beauties of nature. They cannot see the rivers or the cape or the stars of woods. The highly literate people of the world will never be known to them. Now let's move to the third stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones, and spectacles of steel with mended glass, like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Explanation. The poet further says that these children living in the slum area have faced so many hardships that they feel every other person to be their enemy. For them, Shakespeare is an evil man. They don't find the map to be a good thing. They were never liked or loved by anyone. Therefore, they hate almost everyone. Their desire of being loved by others forces them to steal. They live in small homes and they have started adjusting to it. Their life is going towards an endless night. This means that their future is full of darkness. These kids are so thin that one can easily see their bones through the thin layer of skin. Their skin is like the thin layer of cloth, and the bones beneath are visible through the skin. These kids suffer from malnutrition. They wear spectacles which are made of steel. They are cheap and very uncomfortable. Even the lenses in the spectacles are repaired. The spectacles look like stones which have been repaired with pieces of glass sticking out of them. Here, the poet tries to explain that these kids have to face so many hardships in their lives. As these slums are getting bigger, they will destroy the future of these children, and it is very difficult for such kids to escape from them. Let's move to the stanza 4. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs, break, open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open. History theirs whose language is the sun. Explanation. The poet says that the government should take notice of the problems being faced by these kids. He urges them to change the life of these kids and make the world map a reality for them. There is a need to break the restrictions which are put on them due to poverty and lack of resources. He wants the governor and the public to help these kids in achieving their dreams, as this will take them away from fog to azure sky. The poet wants to say that in this way the kids can be taken away from the darkness of their present to a bright future. He wants these kids to experience the science and the beauty of nature, as this will lead to a desire of gaining knowledge. They will then go through the white and green leaves. Here, white leaves depict books and green leaves depict nature. The poet feels that history will be changed if the people are educated, and according to him, history is created by those who have the warmth and exposure to the sun and the brightness of the wide world. The poem has been written in free verse. It does not have rhyme scheme. Let's perceive few figures of speech from the poem. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the initial letter of several words marking the stressed syllable in a line of a poem. Here are few examples. Next we have simile. It is a figure of speech that compares two different things using the words like or as. And here are few examples. Next we have metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that makes a comparison between two unlike things. It creates implicit comparison without the express use of like or as. And here we have few metaphors from the poem. Spender ends the poem on a positive note as he expresses his belief that people who are ignited by the spirit of knowledge and learning are the ones who create history. It is the moral liability of everyone to break barriers between the haves and the have-nots and give a meaningful education to all. Hope you all understood this poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Thank you.